Hi, this is Chuck Oliver. Welcome to this week's Hidden Wealth Review. Well, I want to put in your mind, for those of you that still want to see how much tax you can save for 2019, that there is still time. Now, I'm talking to those of you that have maybe had a high capital gain, maybe you had to take a bigger draw out of your IRA, or maybe you just had a higher taxable earning year. There are things that you can do, and we've helped numerous clients do it. In fact, I think of a client that we just helped last year. We were talking about the other tax planning we helped him with now this year, but he said, look, I want to give you just a genuine thank you. I actually paid less tax on $100,000 of retirement income. He's in his early 80s. I paid less than $3,000, Chuck, and it was because of the hidden wealth tax saving solutions that you were able to provide me. Now, not everybody qualifies for every benefit in the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, but whether you qualify for all of them or some of them, they're better tax rates than likely many of us will ever see in the rest of our adult living years, or what we've seen in our adult earning years. And the time to act is now, with the unknown of the outcome of next year's political, let's say, dogfight to see who becomes our next president, or if Trump gets a second term. So here's what we know to be true. Stephen Moore, he was an advisor to Trump. He had an interview with The Hill. He was talking about, the article is "Soak the Rich with Taxes and Everyone Gets Clobbered." And it was an interesting article because what he points out, and I thought this was really important because this is the writing on the wall, folks, that not that long ago, there was a broad political consensus that a fair and efficient tax system with a broad tax base and lower tax rates was fair. Right? Now think about that. As recently as the 1980s, Democrats and Republicans joined together to pass the tax reform that lowered income tax to 28%. It was the tax reform of 1986. And believe it or not, even Joe Biden voted for it back then. Voted for lower taxes, just like Kennedy, just like Howard Metzenbaum, etc. Now get this. The former Harvard economist Dale Jorgensen had said the tax reform bill of 1986 actually contributed north of $1 trillion of economic benefit to the economy. And here's why this was so important. Going from 90%, now picture that, folks, down to 70%, down to 50%, down to all the way down to 28%. Now think, we're even less than that for many of us listening, or can be, should be. It said, think about this. American voters had experienced the wreckage of the economy in the 1970s when tax rates stood as high as 70%. It said the result was one of the worst decades of real middle-class incomes since the Great Depression, skyrocketing unemployment, and stock market that lost more than 60%, right, with the high inflation between 1968 and 1982. Now picture this. When tax rates were 70 to 90%, the top 1% of the wealthiest people in this country paid less than 20% of the overall tax. Now that tax rates are down to a maximum tax rate of 37%, the top 1% are paying as much as 40% plus of the total tax. And it was all because of tax saving strategies and loopholes. Folks, those same tax saving strategies are there. Many people just don't know how to use them. There is still time. So here's what we're doing. If you want a tax protection and preservation plan and believe that maybe you had a higher tax situation this year from the sale of a highly appreciated asset, or maybe it's like the client we met in Phoenix this last week where we're helping him offset $158,000 of IRA distribution that he qualifies under the Tax Cut and Jobs Act to actually zero out paying no tax. Or you're like our client that has $350,000 of taxable earned income this year that's about ready to retire, who will end up actually saving tax on $280,000 of that, meaning he's only getting taxed on 70 grand, saving him about 65,000 of unnecessary tax. Now is the time. Now, because we're out of time and the time is very limited, we're doing this. Simply email help@taxessaved.com. It's not a webinar. It's not a workshop. You're genuinely emailing help@taxessaved.com, help@taxessaved.com. Name, phone number that you answer, right, between 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern time. Many of you are on Mountain Time, Central Time, Pacific Time, but our headquarters and who will be scheduling for us to see how much tax we can save you is on Eastern Time. So translate what time that would be in your time zone between 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern, and give us a little narrative of, hey, Chuck, I think my taxable income is going to be this much. I sold a building, I sold a business. I was told that, I can't save any more tax than this, or I had a much higher income than expected. You can still save, folks. Help@taxessaved.com. And don't expose yourself, right, to what's coming with the unknown of the outcome of the next year's election or even an election after that. that when people, like this article says, if I could have read the whole thing to you, many people are saying what supposedly worked in the 70s. It was deemed the worst wreckage outside of the Great Depression to the middle class in the history of our country. And other people, especially academics, right, in the world of academia and these political Democrats pushing for tax for these socialistic utopian programs, folks, they don't work. Other countries have proven it. Our own country's proven it. Save tax while you still can. Save tax before tax rates go up. Help at taxessaved.com.